In the first weekend in Ramadan, Mahmoud Khalil was returning home to his graduate student housing with his wife. She is a US citizen and 8 months pregnant. He is a green card holder who was one of the lead negotiators for Columbia University students as they advocated for their university to disinvest from Israeli genocide. They were approached by plainclothes officers who did not present a badge nor a warrant.
No ICE in Dublin! No ICE in Dublin! No ICE in Dublin!
Rise with the fire of freedom. We will rise with the fire of freedom. Freedom is the one that is born our veins. We will fire.
But cornered themselves between him and his wife and took him away with little to no explanation. She followed them out of the building, insisting that they tell her who they were and where they were taking him. She was told he was being taken to New Jersey. She was told that his visa was being revoked. One of the things I have long taught people at Know Your Rights workshops is that law enforcement is allowed to lie to you and will do so unapologetically. There was no visa to revoke. He was a green card holder. And he wasn't being taken to New Jersey. He was being taken to Louisiana, thousands of miles away from his pregnant wife as she readies for the birth of their first child. More than 1 month later, he is still there, being held captive by his abductors, not even offered a ransom he could pay. The next week, Rumeisa Öztürk, a graduate student at Tufts University, was abducted outside of her home on her way to a dinner where she would break her fast. The video of this sent chills down the spines of everyone who watched. How could it not? What would any of us do if approached by plainclothes, masked individuals, putting their hands on us and saying, "Come with me"? We know that when years ago we saw police officers murder George Floyd on camera, it was not the first time they had murdered someone, but it was one of the most viral videos that emerged. And it demonstrated that not only will they lie unapologetically, but they will be violent as second nature. Rumeisa was far from the first person to be kidnapped by masked government agents, but she was one of the few who we saw on camera. We heard her scream. She too sits in a detention facility far away from home, wondering what will happen. Nobody should be treated any differently for what they did, and all of us have the ability to transform. But let me tell you what she did. She wrote an op-ed about Palestine. She wasn't at a protest. She didn't shut down a street. She definitely didn't do anything we wouldn't be proud of our kids for doing. In fact, we'd be so proud. A PhD student at Tufts University wrote an op-ed, cared about the world enough to do so. And then this week, we woke up to news of Mohsen Mahdawi, another Columbia student. He went in for a naturalization interview. He was told, "Come here and talk to us so that we can make you legal," quote unquote, so that you could stay. He knew the night before. Either he would emerge a US citizen, or it was, as he told his friend, a honey trap ICE had set for him. He went in and he emerged in custody. As we saw thousands of Muslims emerge in custody or not emerge at all after special registration post 9/11. These stories are not new and they are not isolated, but they are adding up, and they are adding up so very fast. This facility across the street from us has been home to horrors that are unspeakable, and yet we shudder because we must speak of them. That is how we ensure we will not repeat them, not in our communities, not with our tax dollars, not with employees who live as our neighbors, and not at all at the cost of the lives of people who may be sent here. Brothers and sisters, in the Muslim faith, we are taught that our sole purpose on earth is to worship our Creator. Everything we do comes back to that. And yes, that includes fighting for justice. And when we fight for justice, we know that many of us come to this work with different types of privilege. I make no assumptions about anyone's. But our instruction is to stop injustice with our hands, i.e. with our bodies, by protesting and closing roads and making injustice impossible. And if we cannot do it with our hands, we must speak out against it by writing op-eds like Rumeysa did, by negotiating with universities like Mahmoud did, by chanting and singing like we all do. And if we cannot fight it with our words for fear that we may be persecuted, because that is what non-citizens have now been advised. Their social media will be scrubbed for what they said about Palestine. And never let it be that we confuse anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism, because we agree anti-Semitism should be condemned and rooted out. Anti-Zionism is our path to liberation.
Yes, yes.
And if we cannot with our hands, and if we cannot with our words, then we must dislike it in our hearts. We must think of it often. We must be disgruntled by it, and it must be on our minds. And I stand here before you, knowing the privilege I have, fearless, because only God could harm me or test me. And if they came for me to send me to Guantanamo or El Salvador, they would have to come through all of you first. And so with that in mind, I pose the question in closing: why my hands or my words or my heart? I commit to you that I will put all of it into this work. My hands and my body, my words and my voice and my heart. Because it will not happen. We will not let it. ICE will not come to Dublin. We will do everything that is necessary to make that impossible for them. Thank you.